I think every player in North America is envious of a world champion.
Nobody's touching Piglet, they're all running away.
He's super good. He's possibly just the best AD outright in North America.
Cataclysm in there. Piglet gets one. Piglet gets two. Can they turn it around?
He was like the AD I wanted to be.
It's a double for Impact. They will be the Season 3 World Champions.
Having Impact coming over to NA was a pretty big surprise.
There should be more action in top lane now.
Godlike, can he finish it? Where is Whites? Oh, Impact comes in to save the day, and not even Whites can believe it.
I'm really excited to play. I think this is probably going to be the best year for me yet.
He got it. Oh my God, he wins the game. Oh my God.
This is kind of like my last chance. I need to start winning.
Welcome everyone to week 2 of the North American League Championship Series Spring Split. The crowds are lined up and getting pumped here today for some action on the Rift. We've got Jana, of course, in the audience. And here they are outside just moments ago. Lots of fans showing the support for their teams, and Dignitas, of course, walking into the studio for their big game against Gravity today. They've definitely got to win that one. And then Cop, all business, down the hallway with Saint in tow. That carefree attitude with his head in a mouse pad. Well, 2 days in, already there have been upsets, and the fans have packed our studios here in Los Angeles to see what surprises today will hold. Hello, I'm James Dash Patterson, glad to be here with you, but I'm not alone. Filling out the analyst desk are Aiden Zyrene Moon, Joshua Jat Leesman, and David Freak Turley. How you doing, gentlemen?
I'm doing awesome.
I'm glad to hear that.
Absolutely amazing.
Better than good.
Ooh, better than so
What
awesome.
specifically about today made it that awesome?
Because after getting to see the first week of games, I got really pumped for the season. I actually expected a lot of the lower teams to get blown out. Super not the case.
Yeah,
the fact that C9 was the only 0-2 team I never would have believed. And it's like every game is going to be ridiculous.
I feel like it was almost like NALCS preseason with all the subs that we had last week, but now it's all
very true. I have to agree. So to set the stage for today's action, let's pull up the standings and see how the teams are stacked up. In first place with a 2-0 start in week 1 is Team Liquid. And they are, of course, followed by pretty much everyone else who's tied for second, each with 1 win and 1 loss. And in 10th place, it's Cloud9 with 2 losses. So we'll see if any teams can make moves with our 5 games today, starting with Gravity versus Dignitas. After that, Team 8 will face off against Coast, and we'll close out the day with TSM battling it out with Winter Fox. And once again, there have been a flurry of roster changes this week. Arriving, we have a couple world champions. Piglet joins Team Liquid, and Impact will be in the top lane for Team Impulse. Recently released from the penalty box is Counterlogic's new top laner Zion Spartan, and Winter Fox have their jungler Helios back in the fold, as well as new member Avalon in the top lane. So I'm going to throw it to the desk. Who's going to have the biggest impact this week?
I'm going to have to go with Impact. Just because. Wow. No, I think Team Impulse, when you look at this team, like, no offense to their bottom lane, but all offense to it, because this is a team that relies on their jungler, their top laner, and their mid laner to carry more often than not. And with having another Korean player in the top lane, he brings a lot of pressure and experience. He can also communicate with Rush, and they have their coach Fly in now, who's also going to rid him of his solo queue habits. They can help middle out and get Xiao Weishao going, who was the MVP, the Rookie of the Year last year in this regular season. So I think that this team is really going to come to full power with Fly and Impact being in that top lane.
I am going to have to stay on the top lane trend a little bit here. I actually think Zion Spartan is a really big move, if only for the fan impact. CLG, I think, for the first time in almost forever, have a really good team now. And CLG can actually make their play and go to Worlds this time around, because Zion is a proven good top laner. Their last couple attempts at pulling in top laners for CLG, Niantanso, you were a good AD carry. Play top lane for us. Seraph, you have no competitive experience at all. Play top lane for us. Both of those were really poor choices by them. They have a proven, consistent performer here. Now the question is, can they have him fit the CLG mold? They're not used to having good top laners. I think Zion Spartan's the guy for it, though.
Yeah, that's going to be super interesting. I'm interested in Piglet, obviously, with our #1 team in the NALCS, Team Liquid. After an entire 2 games of performance, they're 1 game up on the other 6 teams here, but they're the best, even with playing with a sub. This week, we're going to kind of get to see the real Team Liquid against preseason favorites Cloud9, even though people aren't giving them favorites now, and specifically just the expectations that are on that team now. I know that last year, when they played Complexity and Evil Geniuses, who were the 7th and 8th place teams, they were a combined 2-6 against those teams. It felt like last year Curse, the 3 players that are still on there, when they played an inferior opponent, they slacked off.
Right.
And let's hope they don't slack off here.
Well, yeah, even Dominate himself tweeted out saying people are overreacting to their 2-0 start. You know, they beat a couple mid-level teams that had subs as well, so everyone needs to kind of take a breath. They haven't done anything just yet.
Everybody panic.
Yeah. and of course, while we are practicing our best journalistic standards by not overreacting 2 games in, you're more than welcome to when answering our question of the day. Who is going to finish top 3 in the NALCS and why? Tweet your thoughts from fact-driven analysis to pie in the sky, gut impressions. We want them all. Address them to @LoL Esports and use the hashtag LCS. Now we're going to waste no time and send it right over to the guys at the caster desk to get us into game 1.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone. I am Rivington Bism III, and here to help me cast the first 3 games is going to be Sam Colby Hartman Kensler.
Where's my funny intro, Riv? I'm disappointed in you.
There's a lot of weeks. I'm out right now. Next week, I promise you one.
Okay.
Actually,
Better
I think
be good.
I'm casting with Jat next week, so forget about that. Up first on the Rift, our Gravity versus Team Dignitas. And for Gravity, they were able to quickly rebound from a hard loss on day 1 to end the week with a win.
Yeah, they did impress me in their second game of the week, and they showed the value of having veterans on that team like St. Vicious and Cop. They shook off their rather one-sided defeat to Winter Fox, and they showed no hesitation versus Cloud9 of all teams. St. Vicious continually flash engaging for their assassin-loaded team composition, and they punished any moment of poor positioning from Cloud9. Keen Zed really stood out to me. After he got an early kill during that failed jungle invade by Cloud9, he was able to use that money to assassinate target after target. And it took several initiations, but they kept at it and they pulled off that upset, coming back from a very poor lane swap start.
That's right, and these teams are tied in the standings, but Dignitas looked to be the shakier of the two in their first week. Even in their win, they were outplayed and behind in gold when they finally took down Coast Nexus.
Yeah, Dignitas were down in gold at the 9-minute mark, and they were still down in gold, 1,000 gold, when they actually won the game. And it really came down to that one great play from Kiwi Kid that allowed Dignitas to capitalize on a mistake from Coast. Gamsu was able to stop all of the recalls from 4 members of the Team Coast and allow his team to push straight up the mid lane to kill the Nexus for that very abrupt win. That being said, though, even in the game that they won, they did have a poor start. And Dignitas are still looking for that replacement head coach.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more on the players to actually analyze what went wrong in week 1 and fix it here today.
It's going to be tough. Crumbs added to that, saying that their new players have brought a degree of straight talk that has improved team communication.
I think they are really strong players and honest in terms of they're not going to tell you, I was like, oh, you know, I think you should be doing better, like maybe practice more. They'll be like, no, look, you know, you got to focus on this. I want you to focus on this specific aspect. And it's really easy to not take it personally and just understand that everybody just wants to win. So anybody that says you need to be doing this better or that better, it's simply just a fact that will help towards the common goal of winning. And I really like that about them.
It's definitely got to be good to have that from your teammates, but putting it into action becomes the different part of the story.
You have to have that honest feedback or else they won't improve.
All right, so let's get into it and check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it will be Gravity. That's Haunter in the top lane, St. Vicious in the jungle, Keen in mid, Cop at 80 carry, and Bunny Fufu on support.
Look at that new jackets that they have, too.
They all ride in on flaming motorcycles.
I like the new Gravity. On the red side, though, we have Dignitas. Up top is Gamsu. In the jungle, Crumbs. Mid lane, Shifter. Eddie carry, Core JJ. And supporting the Kiwi Kid himself.
The Kiwi Kid himself, indeed. What a lot of Dignitas compositions have kind of been revolved around, if not something of Crumbs in the jungle. That Annie has been a big pickup for them. We should expect to see that on the ban list. But then again, some teams may have that in their mind that we'll give them the Annie, but we have our own strategy in place. And Gravity, this would be a good point to get another win. Dignitas definitely feeling hurt from last week. They should be able to, for lack of a better word, kick them while they're down again.
See how they do going up against the biker gang. Aurelia banned out first. She will not be on the table. So top lane focus already. Rek'Sai, again, we're still on the original patch that we started on with the LCS. We have not switched over.
Oh!
You know what? Aurelia is just way too strong.
Aurelias! Two Shen's meta is out.
Morello is in the audience today, and You decided nerf bad. No, really, that second ban is actually Annie, by the way. For this, there's obviously a bug on stream, but the second ban there for Gravity is Annie, taking out that from Kiwi Kid.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, one of his big playmaking supports.
Oh,
you knew it was coming,
so
right?
good.
You knew it was coming.
So good.
Aurelia, 3 strikes, you're out. You can, now watch, they're still gonna first pick Aurelia.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
That
So
was
the
Sivir.
bans.
The Sivir.
Yeah, the bans for Gravity are Aurelia, Annie, and Sivir. And the picks are not going to be Tarek.
Not going to be Tarek. It is going to be the Jarvan, however. This leaves the Gnar left up. I figured Dig might have to take this. That combo has seen a lot of victories. Janna as well being one of the high-tier picks to come in as well, but that could give Gravity a big pick here.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting thing, too, about the Jarvan and Gnar interaction. First picking the Jarvan does have a slight drawback if you haven't banned Gnar, because even if Jarvan's on your team, he creates the terrain, and the enemy Gnar can still stun people into those walls. So it can work against you first picking that part of the combo. Jenna, though, obviously going to be hovered over here. Very, very prolific support right now, pretty much all across all regions.
Yeah.
Number 1, with Annie being really the only one to challenge her throne.
Could be a Sivir. Not sure. Looking back at Dignitas. Oh,
interesting.
We did see Dominate pull in a Nunu. Crumbs may be trying his hand at that. As I was just saying, we did see back during Dignitas' losses, it was actually Gamsu and Core JJ that had the toughest time at 0-0-2 and 0-2-2. So we'll see if they can actually get themselves together. Better synergy with the team, as Crumbs was talking about, as he himself locks in Lee Sin.
Okay, very strong pick for Crumbs. One of the few junglers that can hold up against Jarvan in duels, but Lee Sin still is going to have to dodge that EQ if he wants to be able to trade with St. Vicious. All right, Jenna being locked in, though. We'll see how Kiwi Kid does on a defensive support. We always see him on hard engage supports, playmaking supports, so he can roam around. Jenna will be a different flavor for him, and we'll see if Dignitas can play a little bit more relaxed and bring their initiation from somewhere else.
Wow.
No surprise here,
Seems
though.
like they're getting a lot of what they want. There's the Narvin combo, and third time's the charm. Cop plays Corki for his third time here. 3 games in a row.
Definitely one of his favorite AD carries, plus just a very strong AD carry at the moment. Sivir, that you mentioned really early on, is a pretty popular pick against Corki. They're hovering over the Ezreal right now, which Core JJ just personally likes, but Sivir doesn't have any means of getting away from the Narvin combo, so while it would be strong in lane, not great for the team overall, and they are picking a ridiculous amount of mobility. Everybody on this Dignitas team, very slippery so far, can hop around. We'll see if Gravity are able to actually hit that combo quick enough to lock them down. It puts a lot of pressure on the AD carry here, this Dig lineup that they've locked in.
Yeah, it does, especially the Lulu coming in. We've seen it from a lot of other regions to really go with the composition. Doesn't bring in a whole lot of late game damage. So we'll have to see what Dignitas does with that comp. See on the side of Gravity, they are looking to round out the last 2 picks.
Now, the other thing I'm looking for here is what the solo lanes are actually going to be, because Dignitas can still move this Lulu around. Having Lulu picked early, flexible pick, they can run it in a lane swap against Gnar. Lulu's fine in those. Or they can have it mid lane and run it with Shifter. Hanser was talking about Shurima a lot in the lobby, so he kind of gave away their pick, but that will go to the mid lane for Keen. And man, this is a very, very strong team for Gravity so far.
Lulu top. Yamsu's going to take Lulu.
The Shifter Ziggs. So do you remember the many Coast games where Shifter was carrying very hard on Ziggs, even getting the Lich Bane for extra AP scaling later in the game?
Yeah.
Xerath, though, extremely popular, especially in Korea right now, as far as poking and siege comps.
Some great highlights coming out of Korea for that, for sure. So he does decide to lock in the Xerath. Something that Shifter has been able to bring about is a bit better farm this season, but the playmaking aspect still lacks. So you have Keen, Slushy, those guys, Phoenix coming up new. He still needs to get that playmaking in there.
And I'm a bit worried for him, because while he picked it for the lane matchup to go versus Azir, you know, you generally want to either outrange Azir or take an assassin into Azir. I'm scared for him, considering that Jarvan and Gnar, Xerath is pretty much the prime target for Jarvan and Gnar. And if you have a Morgana putting a black shield on Jarvan especially, then he will have no qualms about jumping right in on Shifter. So positioning from Shifter as well as the peeling from both Gamsu and Kiwi Kid is going to be very, very big for Team Dignitas if they want to pull this off.
Well, they definitely have to prove to the fans now that the team can come together with a bit of this new composition in their roster, and now the picks that have to go around the table. It won't be easy for them. Like we said, Gravity is trying to work off the fact that Dignitas is coming off that loss, and Gravity is saying, hey, we just beat one of the top teams. This is going to feel pretty good if we can keep going.
And I really like their team comp, too. They're coming in with confidence and a lot of powerful picks.
The game's about to go underway, so tweet either hashtag GVWin or hashtag DIGWin to @LOL Esports so we can see who you think will be taking home the W. Now, as we get onto these rifts, onto the rift with these compositions, I should say. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Gravity, how they're looking to poke out. What's Dig looking to do with this composition? It looks very safe altogether.
Yeah, exactly. Dig are in a very rough spot because not only does Gravity have a great team fight with the Jarvan plus Gnar combo that we've seen so often in North American LCS, but they also have really strong mid-game poke. Azir and Corki combined with Morgana bindings flying out is a really, really strong poke comp as well. So this Gravity team just has so many options with how they want to pressure Dignitas. It's going to be up to some early plays here from Dignitas, I think, and their use of all these peeling abilities that they have with Lulu and Janna to keep that Xerath safe. Interesting invade here. They're already pinging up top to try and get that ward down and find out what the lanes are going to be. Lulu hovering top. Oh, cash money. One more. One more.
You're a chicken.
He got 15 gold.
Dang.
He got all 3 stacks.
Whew. Talk about return on investment.
Kiwi Kid's got his priorities straight on that investment. Also, I really like the wards by the Krug camp. Try and find out where the jungler starts is extremely important, especially when you have these early powerful dueling junglers like Jarvan and Lee Sin. Whichever one of those 2 junglers gets the jump on the other is going to come out ahead. Looks like St. Vicious and Gravity are starting the recalls, though. So they do not want to go... Oh, St. Vicious will start out. Try and 3-buff here. He'll be seen on the exit path, though, so Dignitas should be able to see him as soon as he exits either side of this jungle, and they should be able to go answer with the Gravity Red.
If they can get this down, it'll be very good. We saw Crumbs actually having a little bit of trouble in the jungle through his past few games. Usually he's the one to kind of spearhead everything for the team, be the one calling the shots early game. It has really been panning out that way so far for the team. Top here, without the help of Bunny Fufu right away, they will be simply back to lane. Now this Corki Morgana composition is something they ran last game as well. And that's a little bit of an advantage because they keep running something that doesn't get banned out, then they feel comfortable. Flash in the mid lane. St. Vicious with the level 2, very nice.
So 2.5 minutes into the game, and they're already targeting the Xerath. No surprise here. As I said, Jarvan's primary target, Xerath, is easy pickings. He has the flash down, so expect a lot of ward coverage. Priority to be placed on mid lane. Oh my goodness, Core JJ with the fancy footwork. What a trade. They just demolished the Gravity bot lane in that trade.
That was Cop not having Bunny. That level 2 just absolutely slapped him in the face as Dignitas realized they could take an advantage there. And hopefully, I was saying Cop and Bunny on Morgan Corki were safe. They are actually not feeling too good right now. Saint's probably going to be going back after this without mana, so he can't really help too much.
Yeah, part of the reason why a lot of people have been shying away from the Ezreal is the lack of reliability as far as his lane harass. But Core JJ, if you hit the skill shots
every time,
then he still has the ability to go very aggressive, especially with that Janna shield. A lot of good harass. So bottom lane control there for Dignitas. We'll see about the mid lane, though, because that's really where Gravity, as we said, are going to be focusing. St. Vicious already popped that flash, remember.
Slow. Looks like he has the ward on the top side, but he's respecting Crumbs probably right now. You can see him not going up whatsoever. And Shifter as well, playing quite safe. Crumbs heading to the top. Gamsu kind of fakes out a ward, or just to make sure at least St. Vicious isn't there.
So the thing that Crumbs did that is extremely intelligent for the early game is ending your route by smiting the Raptors. So you have that buff and you know your first gank will not be seen on a ward.
Saint has smite on this, shouldn't be too hard. Takes that down.
It would be very dangerous for Crumbs to go that deep because Gnar would be able to collapse before him. So good play there from Crumbs, controlling the aggression, not going into enemy territory.
Yep. I like the extra ward he placed as well, because you can see Saint still can sneak around the speed vision shrine there from Scuttle Crab in the mid. Cop and Bunny getting a little bit of ground back in their lane. We were talking a little bit earlier in Champion Select how Core JJ and Gamsu, the new members of the team, were the ones to falter the hardest when they were losing, when Dignitas couldn't get control of the game. Doesn't look like it's the same here for Core JJ. Putting up a lot of pressure and using all the mana when he has it, but it's sticking. Very nice job.
Yep, those Janus Shield empowered Qs,
Yeah.
Ezreal all finding their marks. Bunny Fufu does get off the binding, but I don't think it was worth the trade here. We'll see though. This bottom lane could attract a lot of jungler attention. I feel like it might be a trap. If Crumbs goes his usual route and tries to ward up and then counter gank, and he hangs around bottom too long, then Shifter will be the one to pay the price. However, Shifter has been, staying fairly far back, letting Azir push while he doesn't have his flash, and Shifter is one of the best at playing defensively without his flash. So he's doing just fine as long as Saint does not punish him before it comes back up.
It's like those times in lane where you take a whole bunch of damage and then you manage to survive with like 100 HP for the next 4 waves because you're just playing safer. Should have done that initially. Always happens. 6 minutes in, Core JJ, he's taking the bindings, but never in range for Cop to really take an advantage here. And if the Frost Bomb does come out, Kiwi Kid is fast on the shield. You can just see how safe Core JJ is actually able to play. Already back to half mana. They're hardly taking any harass down there.
Yep, the bottom lane even back up here. Bunny Fufu with a lot of good bindings landing. The thing, though, Crumbs is doing, he's controlling both Scuttle Crabs right now. And I really like the early Scuttle Crabs because they're extremely easy to kill, but they still give you the full gold value. So he's got his upgraded jungle item. He gets 80 gold off of each of those, plus the vision control. So even though Saint got off the effective gank, Crumbs got the actual cash flow for his early jungle route. And he's got those Scuttle Crabs. Headed back up top here. This is a very difficult lane to make anything happen on. Not only because Lulu constantly shoves, but Hanser is on, Gnar who has the hop and doesn't have to use it in lane because he doesn't have to go very aggressive on Lulu.
Yeah.
He's not really under solo kill pressure from her. So keep on route, sending your jungle route up top. Might be a little bit of a waste of time.
Hanser also showing up quite big for Gravity here in the beginning of the season. Playing Cassidy and a bunch of other champions. Right now, that would have been a bad idea for Crumbs as Hanser was just gnarring out. So Crumbs backs off and Gravity says, let's go ahead and do a little bit of roaming now. Bunny Fufu is going to stick with Saint on these ones to make sure he's safe. Looks like the rest of the team is doing the same as well. 80 carries will be all by their lonesome in the bottom lane here. We'll see what happens on this red.
Gonna be a pretty even duel here.
Yeah. Smite's down for Saint.
Keen did not come over yet, so this is pretty dangerous for Saint. Yeah, they're just going to go mid lane. So they get mid lane pressure for it. Even though they don't get the steal, they shove the turret, they shove the minion wave into the turret and did lose a couple CS there for Shifter. Double support roam, though. I like them both matching. Kiwi Kid, even though he's a little bit slower on the recall because the wave was shoved towards them.
Yeah.
He is Janna, has that extra move speed. He's able to get over there in time.
Just zooming around. Looks like this did affect the lane a little bit. They were even in CS, but then again, he's just letting it push. Core JJ should be able to pick up everything here.
Wave here, yeah.
Another move in by Bunny Fufu to get some deep wards. Looks like he's playing with fire, so he backs out, just putting that one off of the dragon. Still waiting for that to come up. We did talk about Gravity having a very nice fight composition. We're also going to have to watch the dig token from the outside of that dragon. Really doing damage that way.
Yeah, the first dragon fight is going to tell a lot. I feel like Dignitas should just try and hard shove when Gravity forced that early dragon fight. Lulu can shove a wave very quickly, especially at this stage in the game. Shouldn't be too hard for Gamsu to try and even that up. Plus, I like the early turret more than I like the early dragon anyway on the new patch. So that may be what Dignitas decide to do, opt out of that fight. Both top laners do still have their teleports as well, by the way. So if they do go for level 6 all-ins in the bottom lane, Kiwi Kid should be able to disengage long enough for both of the top laners to teleport in. Very calm game so far, though.
Like Scrying Orb was used. Dignitas maybe not misreading, but verifying that nobody was actually in the brush, thinking that Cop and Bunny Fufu were playing a little bit different in lane. Keen grabs up blue. He's still actually affected by this ward here and just misses with his own pink, but be safe on that. They feel safe enough to put at least 2 down on their side. Maybe they'll start forcing those pinks forward here. A little bit of their power. I'd say now it's starting to spike with. You know, Keen will be hitting level 9, so he'll have a level 5 skill as well.
Good gank here in the works for St. Vicious. Going to the top and wrap around through the brush is one of the best ways to counter gank for a top laner who is shoving. Gnar does draw a lot of attention to this side, and since Crumbs has been pathing up there a lot, it was a good guess. Just turns out that Crumbs is on the other side. Can't find the ward. That's the most frustrating thing. When you pop your Raptors, it's a little bit too late. Can't get off the 3. Auto attacks and has to use a sweeper.
That's a good place. That's a tricky placement for a ward. That would have been the last place I run to. All the way into the pit. He still gets it with a sweeper, and they may be able to gain control over this. We see St. Vicious, however, somewhat reading that towards the bottom lane now.
Yeah. I think that the one to make the first move is definitely going to be Gravity, though, because they have the easier to land initiation. This Dignitas team is very true to Crumbs' jungling style, where if he just controls vision, they can continually clear out waves. They have really good wave clear on this Dignitas team, so basically they can wave clear all day and wait for Gravity to try and make a move, try and capitalize on that move. That being said, here comes Crumbs in for an early gank.
True shot barrage. Sun was in his eyes, just missing off to the left. Couldn't get that one to connect. So Gravity now knows that there's quite a bit of pressure towards the bottom lane. Keen actually doesn't go for the full rotation. I think he just threw a ward down, but now they have something to decide. We'll see St. Vicious look to make an approach here on the bottom lane, knowing a few ults are down. I think Dig will be playing too safe here, knowing they just whiffed a few ultimates.
They should definitely be playing fairly far back. However, you know, they should be really safe too. The only thing that could go wrong for this Dig bottom lane is that binding land unexpectedly. Bunny Fufu does have flash and ultimate available, so he's looking for those side angles to try and hit bindings from the offside. But as we've seen already throughout the entire game, CoreJJ very well aware of what Bunny Fufu's going. Even when they don't have vision of him behind one of those walls, CoreJJ expecting these bindings to be shot from Fog of War, and he's done a good job of dodging most of them. I feel like if you're Crumbs and you're looking at all these lanes, there is nowhere that is a good spot to gank. So he should be hard farming and trying to counter gank just as he has been. His main hope is to try and get a bead on St. Vicious pathing and be there for the counter gank. That's really where Dig can turn this around. Because going and trying to make the first move himself, really difficult on any of these lanes. They all have escapes of their own.
What would be the safest lane if it does get that tough? Where can Crumbs go?
Yeah, like I said, he can't. None of these are good options for him to go attack.
Waiting for St. Vicious then. It's all about Gravity to make the move. Something we saw when they were cursed. They would kind of hold the trigger when they weren't sure. They'd teeter-totter. Not anymore. It looks like they're very sure about the moves they want to make. Timing coming up on the red buff as well.
Will they trade it for Dragon here? Dignitas are moving towards that, and that should be the call. They were banking on the third red buff steal there from Saint.
Yeah, they can't. Smite's down. This would be a tough one.
He's coming, though, and the damage is not that high. Looks like Keen decided to back, so they're going to give this one up. If their mid laner's not coming, they should not mess around with this Dragon. Bunny Fufu could get hit with a stun from Xerath. And he does get hit, you know, technically.
He drew it quite a bit, though.
He's got a black shield, though. Very safe play so far. So red buff for Dragon, advantage to Dignitas in that little trade. That being said, the lane CS, this laning phase has gone heavily in favor of Gravity. Been able to accrue this entire gold lead purely off of CS.
Well, you made a good point. If they can get a beat on Saint's pathing, they get a little bit of something. It doesn't actually put them in the gold lead, but that Dragon will help at least a little. Morello Namicons across the board here, built up by Dignitas. Should see a locket coming out somewhere from the side of Gravity when Saint gets enough money. We already see the Hex Drinker up on Haunter. Trying to just stay alive versus this team.
It's very difficult here for Dig. They're being so trepid, so cautious.
Right. After that first flash in mid lane, Shifter really hasn't even passed half of his river in mid. He just stays behind and farms with Xerath. He's more than happy to. Keeps it easy.
They have gone with double Athenes for their double AP solo lanes, though. So they are trying to keep up with this mid game. Cop's already finished his Trinity Force, so it might be time for Gravity to try something here. If they do get Corki plus Azir grouped up, their siege is extremely strong, as we mentioned.
Oh.
Going for the steal. Oh! Keen got the money, I think. Yeah, yep, he got it.
I was like, hey-oh. Couldn't see him for a second, but he does grab it. Nicely done. I know Shifter's ultimate is down. Not like they can work too much off of that. But you can see Dignitas isn't approaching the side of Gravity to get these things done. They're making sure they stay very far away.
So even though they just cleared out that ward,
too well here.
Yeah, even though they just cleared out that ward, the reason why they stayed is because they have the roaming support.
Right.
They know they have the numbers. Even though Dignitas would be alerted to their presence, they're just going to brute force it, shove the turret down. More global gold here for Gravity. And this is going fairly poorly for Dignitas. I don't think they'll be able to capitalize bottom because Crumb's actually hovering around up top.
Yeah.
He wasn't really able to get anything done except take the Krugs. You know, can't save that turret. And without him down bottom, there's no chance of punishing Gravity for that move. Really good second roam from Bunny Fufu.
Yeah.
Liking the Morgana play so far.
Well, Gravity's really setting up this composition all the way from Champion Select. They have the team fight, so if they're not getting the fights, they're going to brute force things and say, fight us or lose it.
Yeah.
That's really what they're doing.
The team comp from Gravity is just staring you in the face and daring Dignitas to make a move. It's really scary for Dignitas.
Haunter now with the Warmogs. He's going to be a big gnar. See, haven't even really had him in too many fights yet. The teams haven't even been as 5. Just a bit of control on Gravity. As you said, Kobe, the lanes went in their favor, so the first turret's more than likely about to fall in their favor. This will be number 2 in the bottom lane. And looks like they're able to advance a few of their wards as well. It's getting a little bit tight, a little tighter here for Did.
Yeah.
They get suffocated.
And I love the mid-game shot calling here from St. Vicious, leading the way.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to take top turret. Bunny Fufu, come roam on up with me. As soon as that one's down, rotate down bottom. We're getting all the outer turrets knocked down. Once they open up the playing field and they take the entire outer turret line down, there's so much room for Gravity to work with. They can extend their ward line up into the jungle of Dignitas and control all neutral objectives because they're the ones with the Nar Jarvan. They're the ones with Corki Azir combo in the mid game here. It's a really textbook finish here for the mid game from Gravity. Let's see if they can actually extend this though. They definitely do want to control the next dragon and just get 1 for the first buff.
Yeah, that'd be big for them right now, especially this far in the game. Not huge, but a real nice boost in damage from. See Keen, the rest of the team looks like they want that last turret in the mid lane. Like you said, split open that present, see what's inside. Once they can get those deep wards in, it's going to be even harder for Dig. These are just dropping too.
Yep, they just swing mid lane. This is the last outer turret. Obvious choice. Everybody sieges up. They've got the Trinity Force Corki. They have Azir on 1.5 items. They really need the front line though, so you can see them back off very quickly. No pressure at all on Gravity right now. They're free to make the decisive play on the map.
Just having a heyday in the top lane right now. Gamsu actually has to go over and adapt to that. They still have Cop in the bottom lane, so if you can defend here with almost half your team in mid, you're good to go. They're going to lose this turret so slow that more is going to be achieved in the side lanes before Dig can grab this.
Good poke
there.
They don't. You can see how strong the Xerath pick is with the early needlessly large rod, though.
Yeah.
Giant chunks taken out of Bunny Fufu. If Dignitas are going to make a play, it's going to be, up to Crumbs to get a good Dragon's Kick. And it's also going to be all about the damage from Xerath to finish off his target.
Hello. Bringing down the house. Doing a little of that percent magic damage. It feels good, right, Haunter? He goes Gnar form. That's the one thing about Gnar. Once you see that bar going up, you're going to walk right away. Gamsu does accordingly. There's so much power. They're pushing them around right now. He said, oh, you put that down? Let me have that thing.
Yep.
Not much Dignitas can do at this point.
Keen is doing a good job just controlling mid. Azir gets very, very strong, as we said. Can poke you even under the turrets.
Yeah.
While defending or sieging. Blue is a pretty high priority objective right now just because of the Xerath versus Azir. Let's see if they can poke this. Both teleports are available, by the way.
That's going to be one. So they're going to call that to Haunter.
They
should have vision of that. Yeah, you grab it. Very nicely done.
That should mean that the mid turret will go down. If you take away blue buff from Xerath, then it frees up gravity. You know, even though they're not able to give it over to Keen, they can give their own to Keen. Siege up. The thing is, they lost positioning. So Dignitas making that shove. They want to get their first turret.
Haunter has a chance to make something happen, but it looks like they might actually try to get a pinch here in mid lane. Dignitas, they are saying retreat immediately. Haunter is perfectly right in that bar to gnaw out as they would get into the fight. So they're actually going to force this one. Here's that brute force from Gravity, right of the Arcane, raining down towards the Dragon. I don't think it's going to be enough. Nope, Dragon going over, and that will be Gravity's first one of the game.
Yep, Keen forced him to cancel his ultimate so he could run away. Popped up a couple soldiers near him, and you cannot stand next to those. So there it is, that Dragon that we talked about Gravity controlling. Pretty easy pickup for them. The way that they're playing, it looks like oh, there's a kill.
It's dead, yep. You can't go too much farther than that. Wait, enough of the disengage. That's what they built their team with, but still, the amount of stick that comes from Gravity right now and the rest of the team is just too much. They take down Crumbs, and they're still battering down Cop for a few more shots on this turret. He's even going to take a hit himself. Nice job. Face tanks that one, doesn't even take the damage. And that guy right there, Haunter, starting to help make plays now. 40 CS above in his lane, and he really didn't even get any attention until the late game when we saw the three-man roam.
Yeah, every member of Gravity performing really well. I'm always glad to see the teams perform really well when they get their ideal champion select. They're like, yes, we got every single champion. Now is the time to execute, though. And they've done a really good job so far, taking pretty much anything they desire. The only problem now would be getting overconfident and going for turret dives or people splitting up and getting picked off. But it really doesn't look like Dig are even going to try and make any moves to pick people.
See what they actually used to get this, because it seems like they were pushed off of everything.
Kiwi Kid doing his best. And gets the blue as well. Azir with the extra soldiers popping back up.
These solo lanes for Gravity doing very, very well. We saw their loss come when Winter Fox took down Keen, so maybe that's the thing you need to do against these guys is somehow shut down Haunter or Keen. Because once they get going, St. Vicious could be anywhere.
Yeah, you definitely have to shut down some part of this team early because they've got the Narjavan crazy team fight and then the Azir Corki with ridiculous siege and poke. I mean, they have so many options.
So good.
We'll see it. We'll see it in action though here. The Azir poke, backed up by Trinity-Force Corki. Oh, quick little moves there from Keen.
Oh, but he dives back in. Whoa, that's going to be him taking the wrong path out. He does go down, but this could be cleanup for the team. Haunter just on the side of Mega Gnar. One more if he can proc it. He does, and he gets the hit down. That's one boulder toss. The next one good hit, but yeah, no follow. Winsy just a little too fast. So even with Keen down, Gravity still feels strong enough to kind of pressure through this one, able to take down Crumbs.
That's a little bit of light here for Dignitas.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good opening for them. Keen burning his flash is important. They are the ones with the mid laner who has blue buff. They should be able to get an objective off of that. There you go. Shove up mid once again.
A few more pushes on this. Actually looking at poor JJ as he fires out a few of these Mystic shots. He's put that Cutlass in his inventory actually for the next item. A different build.
All right, so
Dignitas possibly
able to get one turret down, so they have at least they're gotten on the board here with the global gold. Back to wave clearing now for them. They should try and look for another opening to capitalize on a mistake from Gravity once again. So,
gotta look at that. It's a pretty big gain for them. They almost given that one. Like you said, the flash is down from Keen, so that fight could repeat itself if they get a good catch here. And already Gravity is saying that's a fluke. We want to pressure down on you hard, very hard after that. Keen's going to be coming in from the top side. Already the full team is back and ready, raring to go.
And when we say catch from this Dig team, we mean giant amounts of poke landing. Because they don't have the hard CC. Without Crumbs committing his body to it, his life, and going in for a Dagger
he's the only one.
they would have to just land a massive amount of poke on somebody and have Xerath finish them off. That would be the way they want to turn this around. So they're looking for Gravity to make a dive and try to turn it around on them. Gravity, though, slow but sure, making steady progress.
You have Gamsu pushing that top area, but that turret is still very healthy, and he's forced down here with his team. They already lost the turret, but almost for naught. He could have gotten some damage up top and a little more map control. Gravity is moving back and forth now. The closer they get to the base, the easier it is to go from bottom to mid to top. They have no problem doing that, hopping over walls and Valkyrieing away. So the safety is there, and the ability to pressure even more is there. Haunter's going to take control of the bottom lane now. It looks like they could get a nice catch on Crumbs, but this is where the poke comes into play. They're trying to keep their own jungle.
Whew. Yeah, just no initiative from Dignitas all game long to try and create something, and this team has become a ridiculously scary force here from Gravity. Still stacking up. Keen even went with the early Void Staff.
Gotta say, interesting build as well from Haunter on the Thorn Mail for a magical team you're fighting. That'll do.
Quite the magical team. Ezreal is not going blue build, at least for Dignitas, so they do have a bit more damage this way, going with Trinity Force into Bork. Plus, he's a bit of a scrapper.
Yeah.
When Jarvan Nar jump on him, he should be able to disengage effectively.
15 seconds on drag, Kobe. Is this anything Dignitas can look at?
I'm going to say no. If you run through these jungle pathways into a binding, you will get annihilated. They're going to do it, though. St. Vicious and Gravity do have vision coverage, so they're daring Dignitas to come through one of these.
All of Dig's
Okay,
options.
they want to take Dragon first.
Oh! Nope, that's going to smite.
And
St. Vicious!
You're in trouble.
He has shied away from those smite nightmares. He gets it now. Dignitas' chances just being whittled away as they now watch dragons go down in front of their eyes. Top lane needs a bit of assistance, so they're going to be spread thin on that. Gravity has waves pushed up in the bottom here, so it looks like they're going to get a little bit of a push here. Gamsu does have teleport, so he may be able to offer some assistance.
And we did mention, you know, Dignitas are still looking to... Oh! St. Vicious taking a lot of deeps. We did mention that Dignitas are still looking to fill the void left by Skara as far as the head coaching position is concerned. So maybe a little bit of that showing this game.
Which leads to what we've seen in Champion Select with teams that do have these new coaches. Much more solid, faster picks, and it just seems like the team is organized out the gate. You can still see there's a bit of decision kind of teeter-tottering with Dignitas' Champion Selects as they come in.
And, you know, the play, very hesitant in their play as well.
Right.
Not really making any moves on the map, not very many tools acquired to you know, be able to make any moves. So,
well, just in the beginning, the basic factor of St. Vicious saying, we have the idea of take red, gank 2. If it doesn't work, you already had something to go off of. Dignitas was kind of saying, we'll go through the laning phase and see how it goes. With Gravity ready to come out of the gate swinging, it definitely put them ahead, and they're still using it. 28 minutes in, it's only 2-1.
Kiwi Kid,
weird.
Kiwi Kid has picked up a mid-size.
I saw that. He hasn't been really participating in too much at 0-0 and 0.
The thing is, if they're going to win this game, it's going to be off a failed dive by Gravity and, you know, Dig picking up a bunch of kills. So he's hoping to capitalize on this one big turnaround.
And just get a ton of stacks.
And hopefully he'll get a ton of stacks, and then they'll be able to have some control and, you know, siege up. Because they still have Ezreal. They have Xerath as well. So they have decent siege on this team. The thing is, they have to get a giant gold lead to actually use it. Otherwise, they'll get engaged on.
Kind of works. You don't need a Mikhails for somebody. You're not getting super stunned up. You can dodge the Dark Bindings, hopefully. So we can put that in there. Hopefully he gets the return he wants. He did go for the Spell Thieves as well.
He's going for the one-shot.
Very
if Crumbs had hit that Q, he'd be... Oh, they got
there it is!
There's the long range.
Poor JJ.
So that was what we're talking about. There you go. However...
all in due time.
However, all their lanes are shoved. Both side lanes are shoved against them, so they got their pick. That's great for them.
At this
they
point,
cannot capitalize on it. They cannot get any objective. They get a little bit of the vision battle back in their control. You know, take out a little bit of that gravity vision, but without side wave control, that pick really means nothing for them. Hate to say it, but it's just a small morale boost.
It's one rung on the ladder. They're climbing back into this one. One rung leads to the next one. However, a 6,000 gold lead also kind of stands in their way. 2 dragons already for Gravity. The dragon coming up in a few minutes. Oh, wow. Just about everything used here by Kiwi Kid to get out of that alive. Crumbs will not be able to grab that one. So they are just denying everything here. You said it was going to be hard for them to keep their turrets up without Shifter having blue. What if he never gets blue? It's going to be hard for anything to happen.
It is going to be fairly difficult. They do have Lulu plus Xerath and Ezreal, but even so, they're quite behind as far as the war chest, running low on gold for everybody now. Hanser's already knocking at the door. Inhibitor turret down bottom, and a pretty easy 4-1 split push here for Gravity. This might be the opportunity Dig can take if they can poke out a higher priority target than Morgana, if they can poke out either Keen or Cop and try and kill them before the teleports can come in, then they could actually turn something around. But it would have to be, you know, Keen or Cop really mispositioning and getting blasted down 100-0 from long range like we just saw before Hanser's able to teleport in. Because once Hanser finishes the teleport channel and gets there, he's level 16 right now, he will wall up the team, and that will be the team fight.
Wall up indeed. I think a lot more of that kind of terminology needs to be used, especially for this Team Gravity's put together. We said it was going to be a fight team, and it is, but Dignitas is so afraid of that. It's literally 2-2 here, 31 minutes into the game. They have just been pushed off of practically everything in the game. And while Dignitas is right to not take these, at some point, they got to find a way back in. Shifter really the only one with the hard crowd control to lock someone if they do fall in those dives, or fail, I should say, in those dives. But Gravity's also not giving those chances up. They're doing the dives when they know they can get out and make it all happen in one fell swoop.
I mean, Gravity saw the game last week, too, that Dig won, the game versus Coast. Dig won off of a mistake from Coast. So Gravity are doing everything in their power to not make risky plays so that they don't open themselves up to that. They aren't going to go take very many risks because they don't have to. They don't want to open up any mistakes here. Dignitas going to try and force something, though. Shove down mid. Worked last time. Let's see if they can actually get there. Right now, Gravity's slightly out of position. They should get some damage on the turret. Maybe they can get a good burst on somebody.
This could be good for Dig. That burst would be perfect. And I think that was their opportunity to get a little bit on and say, Dragon could be an option now, but without getting any damage on to Gravity. I think this could actually be a very tight situation for Dignitas to put themselves in. Whew. Soldier ward clearing.
All right.
Please, Riot.
Hanser's got the flank. Can he get in?
Oh. Oh, he missed it too.
Dodged everything.
He's still going to be able to put a bit of damage down. Dig is running, scared right now. Keeping our eyes on Gamsu. He's kind of the one stuck. Should be able to dodge out in the hands of Crumb.
We're watching a game of dodgeball.
Not sure what just happened, but
we're watching a game of dodgeball, not League of Legends.
Well, they all did a really good job. Credit to everyone in dodging. So True Shot Barrage, that's down. It was actually just used to clear the bottom wave, not towards Dragon. Another one now, 3 for Gravity here, as they were perfectly okay with letting that first one go to the wayside and have controlled the game since.
Gravity
they controlled the game at that point too.
They're very happy with status quo. Keep it the same. Every single Dragon will take it. They can stack those up and get to the point where they really force the issue. With that 5th Dragon. You know, Baron's always an option too. It's weaker now, or past 30 minutes. At past 30 minutes, it's actually a decently acceptable objective to go for, as long as you have as much control of Gravity have. All they would have to do would be to extend their ward line.
Well, Gravity has control over everything, Kobe. That's the way Gravity works. It took a while. I can hear the laughs, though. I hear it.
You got a couple chuckles. People are having to wake up.
I'm not freak level.
They have
right,
to wake
guys?
up before they hear your joke. Thing is, all of Gravity's wards are on the opposite side of the map right now, so they would have to do a lot of work moving all of their vision coverage over to this side, and They're just a little bit too lazy for that. So
that's good though. We just saw a little bit of life out of Dig. It was they ran scared for a second. But getting control over this means that they can at least 50-50 a Baron if it comes down to it. And this is exactly what
now
they
they're
want.
going for it. Where's the Ezreal ult? It wouldn't kill him anyway, I guess. Doesn't even throw it out.
Drat, you got me excited.
This is another swing there.
Oh my word.
For Dignitas, but this time a miss.
Crumbs just took just about the same amount of HP for being there in half the time from Keen's Azir. And look at that.
Big
just
wave building up bottom for them. They're going to have to send somebody to deal with that.
Fisher Mountain.
Yeah, Gravity just really hesitant to throw away the giant lead that they have, so not trying to take the risks. I'd really like to see them take advantage of the ward coverage they've done, though. Bunny Fufu's making it work on this red side jungle. They cleared almost everything out. They've got positioning on it. Here we go. Action started. The famous Baron for a Dignitas game. This is how they did get their win last week.
Yep.
See if they can capitalize here.
Haunter pops over. They don't have too many wards actually on the other side of the Baron here, so they don't know what's coming at them, and they do give respect to Dignitas at this point. I feel Shifter can do a lot of damage in these fights. We do know him for getting those triples, quadras at the end. The cleanup of the fight, somehow he just finds a way back in. And Gravity, like we said, they're not giving much of that up. Know when to pull the trigger, and they know when to hold steady. Right now, that's one of those times. They got the wards on Baron, but it's not about that anymore. Let's get the lanes, rather, back pushed. And we're going to see Haunter kind of covering that bottom
This is priority target. And remember, this is all due to Dignitas' strategy. This is the team that they drafted is a very passive, wave-clearing team that counts all on long-range poke damage. So this is the type of game that you expect to see when you run a team like this with so much disengage and very little hard engage for Dignitas. It's pretty much all having to be some sniper shots for Dig if they ever want to make a play.
It's really a different style than we see if there's an Annie on the team. If there's something else that they can instantly jump into these fights with. And in the beginning as well, I mentioned that, Shifter doing better in CS in the lane, not 314 to 303. Out of the lane, he was just about even and not down like usual, but he's still not, as I said, a playmaker. As Keen coming in, Phoenix, these new guys, he's not bringing that to the table.
That's a really good point. The Shifter, always one of the more laid-back mid laners as far as LCS play goes. In solo queue, of course, he's known for the Ahri. He's known for the assassination plays. He can take over games himself. He's a very strong player, but it seems like Dignitas have been neutered. If you take away the Annie, you take away that Kiwi Kid initiation.
It feels like it.
Really, most of their bite is gone.
Yeah. They can still hold these off, though. They've been showing strong once they get to the base, but that's because Gravity hasn't felt strong enough to get by that last line of defense just yet. Something's going to come of this Baron fight quite soon, I feel. Unless Gravity just gets some random fight in the jungle, as you were saying, a dark binding that hits somebody along a path. I mean, with that amount of gold in that chart, this should be ending quite soon.
7,000 as far as the new patch is concerned is a ridiculous lead.
Right.
So more stalling is probably what we'll see here. Gravity, though, waiting for them to pull the trigger. They definitely have the tools. They're really scared. They've seen the poke damage, though. They've seen the Xerath combos on their main targets. Here it goes.
Kick the guy that can hop out of the fight. Another one can do it as well.
That's all they have, though. They use the Dragon Rage is pretty much.
Oh! Buddy Fufu, he has the Zanyas! He can still use it. That's exactly what he was counting on, but he still gets popped. Dignitas gets that catch, but how does the elongated fight go for them when Gravity can keep forcing? And right now, the disengage has worked better than the engage. Great job so far from Dignitas controlling this one, and the poke now coming into play. Core JJ on the front line with a low mana bar. He's going to have his last few shots and say in this fight, but they have done a great job for being down that 7,000 gold in the Baron fight.
I mean, we were just talking about the damage. They've seen how much damage Dig can put out when the sniper shots land. They get one target, but once again, same target as last time. It's the support. It's just Bunny Fufu. They can't gain anything off of this. They gain a little bit of vision coverage and in River, actually. I should take that back. That's actually, at this stage in the game, is definitely worth fighting over. So
That's pretty much the only thing you're fighting over.
All right.
Now on to Baron.
And better back off.
Keen came out of this fight pretty much full mana bar.
Yeah.
He can still tear this entire team of Dig apart.
The only
Scary.
really big point that Dig really got in that one was that Haunter was fairly low, chunked out before it started, so gave them a bit of confidence, but definitely can't do Baron with Azir hanging on the outside. Cop just going to solo up that dragon, and as we said, stack number 4, looks like they are playing that long game. Just going to wait for the very easy 5 stack. Because Dignitas, there's no way that they can contest a neutral objective out there like that without 100%ing somebody besides Bunny. We'll see, though. Maybe they get a glorious pick onto Keen, and they're able to snipe him down.
Oh, it's good that they got Bunny's flash there. They won't get any flash soul shackles engaged in something crazy. So the distance they can keep keeps them very safe at this point. Unfortunately, Kiwi Kid still has yet to pick up anything on that Mage Eyes within the big fights. Only one going down in the previous.
Oh, he didn't even get an assist for Bunny Fufu kill. That's
not even shielding.
That's sad.
Unfortunate. Gamsu, there you go. Got the pink ward. So that's going to help a bit.
Oh, St. Vicious going around the outside, wants to flank. There is a ward in the mid lane, though.
Ooh. This would be a great fight. Core JJ is not even close to this one.
The slow negative. They have position on mid. Maybe they can just brute. They should probably just tank this up and get a. No, never mind. Goes down really quick.
A lot of damage. Wow. That was a very Dignitas-esque move. The teams are dancing around and they say, all right, mid lane, let's go. Giving them a bit of their own medicine on that one. Cop focusing on that inhibitor. You've got to be very careful here. Careful. There's the crowd control. All of it soft so he can get out quite easily. This, however, could be good if they can do enough damage. Maybe Baron's in the near future here for Dignitas.
All right, they've expended all of their artillery shots, though. So not much left for Dig. They forced them back off the inhibitor. However, the tower's gone now.
Whoa!
Yeah, get into it, Riv. Oh my God, that. Somebody got chunked.
I felt it.
Woo!
That was like severe stub your toe pain. Reginald's laughing in the background.
Yep, Reggie's cracking up.
So the turrets as well. Remember, the Azir turrets are counting for Dig right now, so they don't have 6.
Not a true turret kill.
They have 3. Actually, they have 2. The third one's still standing in the bottom.
Indeed, that's a lot of Azir turret.
Yeah, cleaning up from gravity, or minions in the mid lane for gravity, as they start to push a little bit more. And they are almost items completed across the board. Still recipeing what would be, I guess, a Maw, as well as the Spirit Visage. He's got a little bit more to go for himself. But overall, a great game from Gravity to come out here in the second week, showing that their last win was, something that they didn't get, luckily. They really took it to, I believe, Cloud9. I remember Saint saying this was one of the first teams we've ever beat Cloud9. Obviously, it's a different roster, but that core of those guys.
Crumb's making a play again.
Whoa.
No follow-up, and again,
Fred.
St. Vicious that he starts on. Not exactly the one they want to take out.
Yeah.
Again, this whole Dig team, it hinges on chunking down Cop or Keen and having Shifter snipe them. Shifter or Core JJ.
Yep.
Nope, never mind. He won't have his Arcane Barrage. Use that to clear minions, by the way. It wasn't shot at Haunter.
Right.
It was aimed at that bottom lane to try and take a chunk out of that bottom wave.
Fortunately, it's still gigantic, and we'll still meet the turret at some point here. That's why Gravity covering over the top side, making sure as well Baron is covered up.
Ooh.
Nope.
So,
okay.
Everybody by this moment should be aware of the interaction with the sweepers and pink wards versus regular wards, Sweepers only reveal things that are already invisible.
Indeed.
Use it on a pink ward, it won't let you know, and you have to walk into the bush.
Thanks, Kobe.
Well,
learn something new every day.
We're trying here. Cataclysm was just used on Crumbs, I believe. He's chunked out. Yeah, it must have been Crumbs.
Yep, he gets out.
Pretty slippery target there. Not only is it a Lee Sin, but he had his flash. Looks like they did get the flash for it, though. Not exactly a really big summoner for Dignitas. I guess it is their only main playmaking ability as far as hard CC. And they will truly be
he made it over the wall.
100% on skill shots landing.
I actually saw Duke try to do that last night, and he jumped right into the wall. I didn't think he could jump over that. Today I learned.
Well, side wave control here in favor of Gravity. No, don't back! They've got 2 giant side waves pushing! No!
Tell them how you really feel, Kobe. But that is true. Huge wave in the top. It's going to be teleport up, so they could still mess with this a little bit. They know that Baron's going to be something, so maybe now running back, Kobe, look how push those are. Baron is such an option.
Remington! Baron was just an option. They had 2 giant side waves pushing. They had full vision coverage of the red side jungle, and they based.
You're right. Look at those side waves. They're cleared. Oh, got it. Extra damage, not doing too much. Haunter's going to gnaw out a little early. They won't be able to use this to too much effect. 30 seconds on Dragon. Probably just going to be Cop, and St. Vicious back down on that one. Aspect of the Dragon coming out here for Gravity.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is like the 5th time they've raised this turret. That's definitely an exaggeration. But you can tell that Gravity, they do not care who's waiting for them to finish this game. They are going to get that 5th Dragon. I want my shiny arms. I want the gold.
Boom. There it is, Kobe.
All over my face. There it is.
80 minutes to dream.
Well, here comes gold faces for Gravity. Everybody's up for it. They're all going to get it. They should be able to shove right into the base with it.
Oh, that would have been so
Crumbs
good.
is going for some ward coverage on Baron while they're taking Dragon, though.
All right, so this is Aspect of the Dragon. 180 seconds of being able to punch your enemy in the face multiple times.
Here we go. Everybody's burning.
They are on fire.
Should be able to make it now.
Ready and raring to go.
You don't even need side wave control if you have 5th Dragon. So let's take a look.
Don't get people hopped up on crazy ideas, Kobe. Looks like they got Cop on the turret. Gene procs are going to be doing some good damage.
Demolition.
Very nicely done. Cleaned up on that. That's one inhibitor. The waves aren't as pushed as they would like it to be. So they actually are going to have to back up here. Aspect of the Dragon does eventually wear off.
Holy moly.
We'll see if Gravity, what they can do within this time of having it.
I haven't even seen an exciting teleport used in this game. They're holding onto their teleports the whole time, just in case somebody gets picked out. Something happens. Oh my goodness, they're not even taking the Baron while they have their 5th Dragon buff. They are returning to purchase. I hope they're just buying a bunch of wards, and then they're going to spell out
I think we should call
Gravity over the mid lane.
We could call Guinness.
And take a screenshot with everybody glowing red. They're going to try and actually reenact their logo with the spaceship. And have the fire of the Dragon buff.
Damn.
You know, actually, you know what's the most frustrating thing about the Gravity logo? They have the flames backwards on the bottom of the rocket. The red,
the white should be near the engine because it's the hottest.
Exactly, Riv. God.
That's the first mind trick against their teams.
Yeah. The opponent. Attention to detail, guys. All right, everybody's spread out. They've got a split push here going with Gnar going bottom.
Yep.
All right, Dragon buff. How much longer do they have on that Aspect?
I feel like it's soon.
They got a decent amount. They got about 30, 40 seconds left.
Okay. Not bad.
They could still make something happen. Everyone hold your breath as long as you can. And if the game ends before you have to take a breath, I will give you 100 doll hairs.
Doll hairs. I like it. That sounds weird.
I knew that somebody would call me out on Twitter or something like, where's my $100? I held my breath the whole time. All right, Crumbs is going to make a move. Look at this flank. He's going to kick somebody right through the whole team. Oh,
they buddy. That's going to be the attack. Can they get in? Crumbs gets absolutely exploded. Just surgically removed.
There's a teleport.
66 seconds for him to get back into the game. Yes, Haunter did teleport.
Hey, Baron.
50 minutes in, and we have just achieved our 6th kill of the game.
All right.
Baron's going to be going down 73,000 to 65K here for Dignitas. They are just forced to clean up what's happening. Right of the Arcane is not going to grab Baron. St. Vicious is all over the smites this LCS, and the rest of the team, they should continuously push. I think that's on the agenda now for Gravity.
Looks like it. A couple people were deciding to back, but somebody made the call not to.
Don't do it.
And they're shoving in. Remember, if you guys don't want to see... Oh, here we go. They're going in on the turret.
No, you gotta, what if I don't want to see what, Kobe? Oh no, here goes Haunter. He dives in. There's a boulder toss. He's keeping Gamsu at bay to the right side. They're hardly taking 1,000 damage across all their health bars just to get this inhibitor down. Haunter may be 1,000 to himself now. He's being greedy. Oh!
Oops. No! If you run an artillery-style team comp like this, a full disengage, long-range poke comp, you cannot shoot your Arcade Barrage backwards.
I have no excuse for that.
I
have nothing for him.
You cannot do that in this team
The
comp.
first one in lane, the sun was in his eyes. Nah, it's nothing.
No, that is unacceptable.
It happens. It happens to the best of us, and it happens to all.
Oh, man, I got hyped up for that one.
He's gonna get him! Sorry, 50 minutes in, Gravity is really drawing this one out. Aspect is actually worn off. They have the chance to get it again. We have seen teams in Korea, Jin Air, get 5 dragons and then lose.
Oh, man.
Not the best thing you want to do. Incredible Miracle almost did it again twice last night against another team.
All right, Core JJ, bang, 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 bang. Oh! Nice replay.
He was just mad at the storage keeper.
I think it was a signal. He was sending it up as a flare.
Oh!
He shot it over Shifter. He was telling Shifter to use his long range to kill him.
Oh, Kobe, this could be it. They're really pressuring down now. They're not giving Dignitas any room to breathe. The Flash Gnar comes in. Haunter's in Mega Gnar form. Shifter's forced to make it all gold and shiny, but he goes down after he comes out of safety. And that was the engage. We've been waiting for 50 minutes now for Gravity. They finally get Dignitas close enough to even start one.
Gravity changing their name to Elements North America. Oh, Haunter walks right through the wall with his black shield on.
More fights. Almost a soldier picking up the kill on Crumbs. He gets out with a sliver of health. We're at 51 minutes into this one, and Gravity finally cracks enough of the base to keep going. An auto attack. Core JJ, he's going to get taken down in the fight valiantly. That's going to be the Nexus. That's going to be Gravity picking up another game in the spring split.
And they finally take down the ridiculous poke disengage squad of Dignitas. And mission success for Gravity.
Mission success.
They wanted just to avoid making that big mistake that would cost them the game. They wanted to avoid overextending, and they did that.
Ground control, we got the victory.
There you go.
So a good win coming out for Gravity in this one. A team we haven't really seen any of the changes burdening them coming into this season. Obviously a bit of a new roster that they came in with, but had much time to practice with it. Morgana Corky for those two gentlemen in the front line right there. 2 games in a row, playing very consistently. Saint coming up strong, and those solo lanes for Gravity, teams better be looking at that. It's the way that Winter Fox shut them down. They took down Keen a lot. I think other teams have to look at shutting down the solo lanes of Gravity as well.
I really like that point because Azir, not every mid laner or every top laner plays Azir. It can be played in either one. If you know a team has that abilities, then your champion select gets a little bit more difficult because there are so many high priority champions to ban. And Keen definitely worthy of one of those, I'd say.
Yeah.
Or at least thinking about a counter pick.
Dig still looking a bit shaky, trying to get that new team together. Definitely harder to have a new AD carry and top lane, I guess, for them. We've seen a few things switch. When Shifter came into the mid lane, it didn't seem too much of a change, but this one seems to be shaking them up a little more.
Yeah, and Coach, I think that definitely showed
Coach
as well.
Big.
Yeah.
A lot of teams with the Coach right now.
Losing out on Skara.
Making it very easy for these teams. A lot of pressure is taken off in Champion Select when you're going through. And then you kind of, once you do get the team you want, maybe it wasn't the one that if you don't have your coach, you went through Champion Select and you said, we had to make a change. But now with the coach, you can alter that change and say, now this is what you're doing level 1. No questions asked. There's no guessing.
One of the traps you can fall into in Champion Select is that when you see your lane matchups, everyone's like, oh, I need XX and X for my laning phase. How is this team going to win the game, though?
Yeah.
I always have to keep in mind.
St. Vicious as well has been coming up big. Obviously, all the smites this game will point to that, but as he was playing in the LCS before, he had a lot of hands in first bloods, and we saw the level 2 from him today, almost picked that up on Shifter. Back to his old ways, an aggressive Gravity. They seem to be coming out quite strong in the LCS. And if you're looking to rewatch this match or any of the games you've missed from Europe, Korea, Taiwan, China, head over to lolesports.com and you can find the VODs, or if it's in person, you'll experience, or if you're experiencer after, click the tickets link and come visit our new studio, as everyone has here, for a home game day taping. Let's send it over right now to the analyst desk to break down Gravity's win.
Thank you, Rib. Both teams playing a very patient game there. Gravity coming out on top in the end. I feel like the elongation of the game can mostly be attributed to the fact that we have, Poke Siege engaged team versus Poke Siege disengaged team.
Yeah.
Yep. There was a long portion of that game, I'd say the first 40 minutes, where the gameplay was relatively clean. The last 15 to 10 minutes of the game was a mess, honestly. Yeah. But Dignitas fell behind. They were a Poke team against another team with Poke, except they didn't have the engage thing. So they were just kind of doing what they could do, and Gravity was playing a safe and measured game for a long time.
And what I really like about Gravity is actually, specifically the Morgana pick and how it played into this game. Because it allows them to play all these long-ranged, high-damage champions, and then have a way to actually have them hit someone. You hit a Dark Binding, you can layer the Azir damage, you can layer the Corki damage, and cool things really happen here. We saw First Blood on Crumbs because of this. And what really made that special as well is the specific interaction it has against Janna. Because what Dignitas is trying to do is play this very disengage-heavy composition. And be like, well, if you dive us, we'll disengage you with Janna. But like Azir, Corki, and Dark Bindings are immune to Janna knockbacks, essentially. Not to mention the Black Shield itself making you further immune, but just the fact that this defensive counterpick has 0 impact on your engage was really stellar. And it was great play by Bunny Fufu. Every time they wanted a siege, they roamed him out of bot lane for a red buff invade. They roamed him out of bot lane for mid turret. They roamed him out of bot lane for top turret. And he was, I think, really instrumental in all the progress that Gravity made.
Yeah, and when you end up getting a pick with a disengaged composition, it's so hard to capitalize on it. They were barely getting any turrets. They were barely getting anything. When they did find picks in the jungle, they had Azir on the opposite side on Gravity just zoning off Dignitas the entire time after they would get something that they should have been able to capitalize on, but because of the compositions and the way that they clashed against each other, they couldn't.
Threat of the Morgana Binding definitely played a huge role in that game. I want to go all the way back to the beginning though, because we saw Gravity pull off the red buff invade and then had that immediate level 2 gank by St. Vicious mid, which actually did a fair amount in terms of setting Crumbs behind in the jungle. We saw him at an experience disadvantage the entire time, and Jat, you were talking about how that severely limits his ability to counter gank and get any of his lanes back into the game.
Yeah, the early gameplay was actually pretty clever by Saint. I liked the straight red to red, but specifically it preys on Crumbs' refusal to just farm. He always wants to set up a counter gank, even when he's behind in experience. Like, he did a pretty good job taking control of the crabs. However, if you're doing that, you do that and then make sure you get the experience elsewhere. The crabs give you gold, the crabs give you vision, but they do not give you levels. And because he was under-leveled, it opened up later invade opportunities again and again, and it also greatly diminished his ability to, instead of counter gank, just gank, because if he does get counter ganked, he's guaranteed to lose. It's a recurring pattern for Crumbs. He is under-leveled, his ganks aren't working because of it, and Dignitas' lanes just get pushed until the game's over.
Yeah, and I have to really commend Gravity's sort of playing around that aspect. We never saw Saint try to gank the lanes. Not really. He ran around, farmed his jungle, played Jarvan, tossed a flag down, and hit minions faster.
Yeah, well, they invaded red buff on multiple occasions.
So those were cool, right? But he's not going for these like lopsided, okay, if like when you gank and counter gank, you're either like diving a turret, which is a risk to be the diver, and a counter gank works, or you're ganking someone who's pushed up, arguably over-leveled, has a bigger minion wave, and the counter gank means, well, we have a bigger minion wave, we win the fight. When you're going for just a dedicated invade, you're fighting on equal terms, more or less. And that was the only aggression we saw from Gravity, fights that would be on equal terms, not against bigger waves, not against a turret. And knowing that Crumbs, wards deep, tries to counter gank everything, he was like, screw that, I'll just out-farm you because Jarvan's better at that than Lee Sin. Scales better than Lee Sin. None of the lanes were actually gankable, despite the fact that he picked this early game jungler in Lee Sin. And yeah, Crumbs had nothing to do, and props to Gravity for making that so.
Yeah. To be a little bit kinder to Crumbs, once they fell behind, there wasn't much they could do. I mean, when they're picking Janelle Sin over Gnar, they're very clearly saying, we're going to poke you. But in order for poke compositions to set up, they need to be able to push the lanes. As soon as the lanes started losing, there wasn't much they could do.
Yeah, and we saw CS advantages slowly making their way into top lane, into bottom lane in favor of Gravity. And then you kind of have to affect those lanes with a jungler, but they're just so safe. Gnar, Corki, there was nothing you could really do about it.
Well, and, you know, props to Gravity for properly playing their team comp. And that's what I have to say. My biggest takeaway from this game is the fact that Saint seemed to be, you know, very confident in his shot calling all through the mid game. As you said, Jat, things started to devolve a little bit near the end game and get sloppy. But, I mean, that's huge for them to be able to rotate and take turrets without having to force fights, knowing that they can do so.
Yeah, the patience is a really big thing, and not overextending and not getting just too aggro. I know I can't do it. We play on a team together for I can't play poke.
You will dive in with any champion possible.
Any champion possible. I'll find a way to do it, even if it's a poke champion. Xerath, all in. But I give them huge props because the fact that they are able to shot call like that in the mid game, and then the late game, it kind of fell apart for Dignitas, and we saw some slip-ups there that actually cost them the game.
Yeah, Saint is nothing if not confident.
Yes.
Is one thing that always gives him a little bit of an edge on opponents. The game was pretty clean up until 40 minutes. Then it got really ugly. Kobe started losing his mind because they were backing when they should be pushing.
Yep.
They were deprioritizing objectives, and it appeared like something leaked into Crumbs' mind too.
I love that soundbite of Kobe going, "What are you doing? You have a top lane and bot lane pushing. Go take."
That's what they spent 42 minutes setting up.
Right.
And they're just like, well, you know, Dragon's in live, but in a minute and a half.
Right.
So we should get items.
Let's go back and buy.
Never going to fight us.
Absolutely.
Can I play devil's advocate and say, like, hey, Dragon 5 is a good win condition, and like just play completely without risk, like re-heal up, put the wards back down? Like, I'm not saying it was the right odds-on choice, but certainly you can't completely complain about Dragon 5.
They consciously chose that, like dead outright. They were like, okay, they have to clear these minion waves. That'll give us time to go to Dragon and set it up because there was a minute.
I tend to agree.
And to their credit, they did secure the 5th dragon, and that was a huge factor in actually being able to close out the game. So I'll give you that. Yeah. I do want to jump though to a replay. 48 and a half minutes in, a questionable decision by Crumbs. For an engage, kind of like a last-ditch effort. But I don't feel like it needed to be.
This is called, like, here you go, Gravity, you win. That's what I call this play. Let's just get into the replay right now, because we talked about the 5 dragon buff and how they actually did have it, but they never did anything with it. They have 30 seconds left on their 5th dragon buff, and Gravity is running away from the base. They're done with this game. They're like, all right, I guess we're going to pressure Baron. We didn't do anything with 5 dragons. Let's roll it. Because Crumbs goes on a solo mission through a ward.
Well, they saw him.
Right? He didn't have like a raptor buff or anything to make sure he wasn't spotted. Yeah, sure, he's not in that specific brush. But what is the best case scenario kicking a support? You kill the support and die yourself, it still doesn't matter. They didn't kill the support, Crumbs is dead, and at this point, now they have no Baron threat. That was literally the end of the game as soon as he tried to make a play, because they were holding on well. In some cases, Dignitas was turning the game around because they land Xerath poke and then finish things off. It was very sad.
It was not a very profitable choice by Crumbs.
Well, yeah, it is.
That he was drawn to Gravity.
Well, and it's not like he didn't have the option to back out. Yeah, there was no one behind him. Gnar TP'd in, right? There was no one behind him. The same way he got into that bush, he could have walked right back out.
It felt like a desperation move. They saw that Gnar was bot lane. TP takes 3.5, 4 seconds to channel. He was like, okay, if we get there in time. He almost had a 4-man knockup. Like, it was almost awesome. Okay, he missed, sure. And again, it was the wrong choice. In his mind, he's like, 3-man knockup, Gnar's not here, Xerath hits everything, maybe that's the fight. They think they caught them on a flank. Obviously, that wasn't the case. And I mean, if he hit that kick, I want to see what would have happened, because he wouldn't have taken all the damage back as the knockup. But definitely an unfortunate misplay. Made it look worse than it was.
Yeah, I do not advise flanking with a poke composition, but it was the only way that they could engage. Because, like you said before, it was disengage versus hard engage, and that was the only difference between the poke siege comps. And he was trying a desperation move there. I do have to say, if you drafted Gravity or Dignitas in your fantasy league, you're not winning anything this week.
Not too many kills in that game.
I have SK and Fnatic.
Well, I do have to say, again, a fairly well-played game on the side of Gravity in terms of taking their early game, playing their comp properly through the mid-game, closing out the game pretty solidly. Some questionable decisions on the side of Dignitas. Hopefully they can patch up some of that, with a new coaching staff or whatever it is. Whatever that we saw that video where they're willing to give each other a lot of criticism within the team. So hopefully that dynamic will continue to grow and they'll be able to, sort things out. We are just getting warmed up here, though. So after the quick break, Team 8 will battle it out with Coast. Stay tuned. Yeah, I think if they...
Profitable.
Yeah, profitable.
Our Gravity versus Team Dignitas.
One shot.
Very
if Crumbs
low.
had hit that Q, he'd be...
Oh, they got it! Oh, Buddy Fufu, he has lasagnas! He can still use it. That's exactly what he was counting on, but he still gets popped.
He's going to kick somebody right through the whole team!
Oh, they buddy! That's going to be the attack. Can they get in? They're not giving Dignitas any room to breathe! The Flash Gnar comes in, Haunter's in Mega Gnar form. That's going to be Gravity picking up another game in the spring split.